guys. Today we're going to be starting our Age of Discovery unit. As you can see here, we're going to be looking at a couple of different things. We're going to explain what explorers and conquistadors did. We're going to describe how religion influenced the movement. We're going to talk about the migration and settlement patterns, and also something called cultural diffusion and how the social classes worked in the colonized areas. And we're also going to be looking at defining Columbian exchange, triangular trade, and looking at how metal exports affected things. All right, so first of all, before we get too much further, we're going to have to talk about why they wanted to go, why Europeans wanted to go to the rest of the world and see what was there. So they had three main reasons, and you can easily think about them like the three G's. Okay, the first G is God. Um, we just got done talking about our unit on religion, Reformation, and so God played pretty predominantly in the lives of Europeans at the time. So one was to spread Christianity. The first part of the G was to really to get Christianity through the whole world. They wanted to convert the Asian peoples. The Portuguese did when they went there, and the Spanish and everyone else for that matter. And then when they discovered the New World, they wanted to spread Christianity there as well. Second part of that was there was a little bit of a competition between the Protestants and the Catholics. Catholics obviously were from Portugal and from Spain, and they wanted to convert people. And the Northern Europeans, who were more Protestant than the Southern Europeans were, they also wanted to take their Christianity too. Now, not only that, the Protestants were also often seeking to relieve religious persecution. Um, like the Puritans that we talked about in class, it's kind of the same idea there. Okay, second of the G's is gold. One part of that gold is straight up material wealth. The One of the main goals was to make money and get rich while you did that, and so you explored, you went to other places to find wealth. Okay, spices, the Portuguese in particular, and others wanted to control the spice trade through, or rather from Asia, and they wanted to take that spice trade away from the Ottoman Turks or the Muslims. And you guys are going to read a little bit about that today and explore that a little bit more. But they wanted to control the spice trade. Spices were expensive because they were rare, didn't have a whole lot of them, and so the price was really high. And you could stand to make a lot of profit from trading in spices. Again, lastly but not leastly, the gold is actual real gold. There was a myth at the time of the Age of Exploration was that there were entire cities made of nothing but gold in the New World, and so Europeans said, "Hey, let's go find them." The lost city of El Dorado is one of those stories, and so they expected the conquistadors coming from Spain expected to see just gold just laying around on the ground. The colonists, when they came to Jamestown, that's sort of what they were thinking as well. And lastly but not leastly of the three G's, motives for exploration, is glory. They wanted to be famous. They wanted prestige. Um, some of the explorers did. They wanted their name to be known by everyone all around, that they were the guy, they were the stuff, they were the one bringing all this stuff in. Also, there were some people who simply wanted adventure. They were looking for a good time, basically, and that was how they did it. We all know the kind of guy who craves, the adrenaline rush, doing new and exciting things, and that's what these guys were, oftentimes. And lastly but not least, so some people were motivated through glory, through the just simple interest. Renaissance fostered a period of curiosity, of wanting to seek answers, wanting to know what else was out in the world. And so one of the ways that they did that was through the Age of Exploration. All right, so that's why they went where they went, but that wasn't the only thing that motivated them or allowed them to go. At the time, there were several new inventions that really enabled the Age of Exploration to take place. And the first of these is the cannon. Cannons were now being in the 1500s, or were now larger. You could subdue people from your ship, so your ship could come in, invade a port, and could conquer that port relatively easily because many, of the native peoples, either in America or even in India, had never seen large cannons, and so that was really unheard of to them. Second major technological advancement is the invention of the caravel. The caravel is a type of sailing ship. Previous to the caravel, they had these larger, bulkier ships with these square sails that couldn't sail very well. But what you see here is this triangular shaped sail. And the important part of that is you can maneuver that in such a way that you can actually run into the wind. Your boat can actually go into the wind. Your book's got a really excellent explanation of how the caravel advanced the science and technology of sailing and enabled the age of exploration to take place. You could store all kinds of stuff in the cargo hold here. It was relatively shallow. This bottom part here didn't have a whole lot in the water, so you get really close to shore without risk of running your boat aground. The compass, which came from Asia through Muslim traders, also plays a pretty big role in this, obviously. And if you don't know where you're going, you don't know how to get there, you know, don't know what direction you're going, that's not going to turn out very well for you. And something called the astrolabe also helped. Astrolabe, along with another invention called the sextant, you could lay it up against the horizon and you could get a rough estimation of what your latitude was. Not your longitude, but your latitude, so you could sort of tell how far north and south of the equator you are. And that played a pretty important role. And lastly but not leastly are better maps. The Renaissance led to a flourish in education, led to rediscovery of some Greek and Roman maps that were pretty accurate at the time. And so these maps enabled the Europeans to explore the world around them, as it were. Okay, there were also two other significant social causes in Europe that historians have been able to kind of pinpoint. The first of these is overcrowding. The cities rather, were getting really big, really crowded, and so people were saying, hey, we need to get out, we need to have colonies, we need to have land for these people to grow and settle. And so that was one, as it was simple overcrowding in both in cities and in the countryside, because coming off of the bubonic plague, the Black Plague, Europe's population was starting to rebound, and now there were more people, more mouths to feed. And nextly was again that sense of adventure that people that just simply wanted to go somewhere. So they were being kind of pushed out by this, and they were being pulled out by a sense of adventure, and later on they were being pulled out by readily available land that they could settle for their other countries. Well, so you got all these factors that focus in and say, okay, we now have the technology, we now have motives to go other places. Well, what about the education? How do you know where you're going to get? How are you going to get there? Really important in this role is a guy named Prince Henry. And Prince Henry was ruler of Portugal in the 1400s, early 1400s, and he plays an important role in this because he's called the navigator. And what Prince Henry did was this. He said, look, okay, I want to go into Africa and I want to meet up with this guy named Prester John. Prester John was a Christian. There was a myth about this Christian king in Africa. And what Henry said was, we want to take and we want to unite Christian Europe, Christian Portugal with Christian Africa and join together and basically encircle the Ottomans in northern Africa and surround the Muslims. And so in order to do that, you had to have people who knew where they were going. And so Prince Henry set up, he said, all right, we're going to go find Prester John. And so he established what's called the school at Sargis. His school was at Sargis, established in 1419. And that was his school for navigation. That was how he planned to train people to explore Africa, both the continent itself, the interior of the continent, and outside, so they could join up with Prester John and hopefully conquer the Muslims in the north. And this all led to the beginning of what we'll now call the Age of Exploration or Age of Discovery in Europe.